Um, Hi everybody, welcome to Coffee with D. And if you're new here, thank you for being here. I really appreciate your presence here and you taking your time to listen to me. And this is a space where we're having honest conversations about healing, starting over, relationships, motherhood, money, and finding ourselves again as women, and even as men. This goes both ways. And today's conversation is about starting over at 35, what I learned about letting go. And this conversation is just think it in a broad, like in a broad spectrum, whereby you're not thinking about relationship, you're not thinking about work, you're just thinking about the different things, whatever you're going through. So starting at over at 35, what I have learned. And for a very long time, I believed, if I loved harder, gave more, forgave more, and became more patient, things would eventually work out. Looking back, that's not the case. I just realized I was just holding on to people and holding on to hope. And over the years, I found myself in relationships that have taught me some of the hardest lessons in life. One relationship became very abusive, um, but there came a night when I realized that staying could cost me far more than living. Walking away was actually very terrifying for me, but it was the beginning of choosing myself. So later I found myself in another relationship. Yeah, I've done a couple of those. That taught me some of the, that taught me that pain looked different. It might not be physical, but it slowly wore me down emotionally. There was betrayal, disappointment, broken trust, and the feeling that I was carrying all the responsibilities that should have been shared in the home alone. I kept believing that tomorrow will be different because I loved deeply and I wanted my family to stay, together as a, you know, united family. But eventually I had to ask myself one question, and I think that is a question I think I can apply in all my, you know, in everything that I do. And the question was, if nothing changes, can I still continue to live like this for the next 5 years, 10 years? Is this something I'm willing to actually go through? And for me, the answer was no. There's no way I'm going to be living with somebody who has broken my trust, who does not share my goals in life, who does not care as much to be able to contribute in the household. So I had to make that decision. And walking away didn't mean that I stopped loving. It meant that I started loving myself deeply enough to accept reality instead of living, in hope alone. Actually, alone. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that love by itself cannot carry a relationship. Love needs honesty, it needs respect, it needs accountability, it needs two people to build it together. And we're build, like if I'm talking about building it together, I'm saying willing to build it together. Because at the end of the day, you might be thinking you're building it together, but you're building it alone. And also discussing finances. That is another major thing that breaks families that people never want to talk about. Um, so I've learned that doesn't, living doesn't mean that you failed. Sometimes living means you finally listened, to yourself. in this case myself, I listened to myself. Another lesson was that healing isn't a straight line. Sometimes morning I woke up feeling, peaceful, happy, enjoying life. Other days I missed that person terribly. Um, and I think I didn't miss them, I missed the person I thought they would become. And I've learned to remind myself that I don't miss the pain, I miss the future I imagined. And those two things are different. And I've also learned not to ignore the red flags because I feel sorry for someone or because I believe I can save them. No, I cannot. Compassion is beautiful, but it should never come at a cost. So I'm starting over with wisdom. I'm starting over with a ton of experience. I'm starting over with clear boundaries. Whether in my relationship, whether in my work setting, I'm doing that. And most importantly, I'm starting over with hope. I believe everything will be fine. And if you're watching this and you're struggling to live a situation that no longer gives you peace, whether it's work, whether it's relationship, anything, I want you to know this. You don't have everything figured out. Before taking that first step, you don't have to wait until you're fearless. Move now. Sometimes courage is simply choosing today over yesterday. So please think about that. And nobody needs to judge you, or don't judge yourself so critically. Love yourself. And things will get better. So thanks for spending the coffee conversation with me. If my story encourages you in any way, I'd love you to subscribe, because this channel is going to be about rebuilding our lives together. You know One conversation, one lesson, one step at a time. And remember this: your story isn't ending. It may simply be introducing you to the strongest version of yourself. So until next time, protect your peace, believe in your new beginning, and remember, starting over is still moving forward. I'll see you over the next cup of coffee for my episode 2. And from next week, I'll plan to at least have 2 videos out. And this will be just for us to learn. And I myself am in the journey of learning. But I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.